What is going on, everybody? It is episode 796 of Pop Culture Crisis.
Thank you for the first two parties.
If you are wondering what that sound was, we have a crisis party every time we get $100 here on Pop Culture Crisis. And Badum Bash at the beginning of the show sent us $200, which means technically we're gonna have to set off another one before the show even starts. But actually, what happened was I had the window in the background when he sent that, and the crisis party just went off before the show and scared the living crap out of me.
Yeah, it was quite startling, especially without the headphones on.
Or
we should probably just do the second one now.
We can do that
and get it over with. The dance party needs to happen anyway.
Before we even get started, there it is. And somebody upstairs is like, "This sucks."
Doesn't matter. I should read that.
Yes, read that.
Bash said, "I just lost my job. Sob. I think I can still send you $2 though. I hope I hit the right buttons."
I really do too, buddy, because if you didn't,
no refund.
We have a no refund policy.
Yeah, you're not getting
I literally don't think there is I don't think you can get refunds on
I don't think so
Superchats.
either, yeah. But thank you so much for the first two parties.
That actually reminds me, okay. So, like twice now, I've like been meaning to go see movies and then like got the tickets refunded because I couldn't go that time or that day. And I realized the other day that money was never credited back to my bank account. They sent it to me in like credit at the theater.
No, yes. Yeah, they don't give you your money.
And
back.
it won't let me buy movies with credit on the website.
You have to go in person.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Like so here's literally what this was my journey yesterday. And we'll get to the intro, guys, I swear. I got tickets for Black Bag. I refunded them because I was going to go see Novocaine. Decided, I was like, I changed my mind. I'm going to go see Black Bag again. And just couldn't do it. By the time I got done, I realized that I had like, between this and like another time at the movies, I had like $80 in like built up credit that I never knew I had, that I thought got credited back to my account that never did.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way as well.
Not good. Guys, before we get started, again, thank you for those two crisis parties, and hit the like button on this video. If you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed here yet already. The best way to help this show grow is to share the show out with your friends and your family and your loved ones. If you don't know who I am, because this intro is so chaotic, my name is Brett and I'm here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, crisis actors. It's me, Mary. I have another $20 super chat though. Kenneth Hart said, "Nicely done on Tuesday, Mary, for your first attempt speaking Tagalog Filipino."
Is it Tagalog?
I don't know.
Okay.
Are you the expert? Do
I don't
you
know.
Speak it? Whatever it is.
No.
Okay. The shows remind me, or the shows I mentioned remind one that before Friends, characters had conflict, but divorce wasn't on the table. The example set was Marriages Persist.
Okay.
So divorce, meaning Ross's divorce in Friends. That was a big deal.
I mean, is the idea here that those examples in Hollywood are just going to always be there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
I also have a question for Phil because I'm not done. I want to bring up the debate that was taking place in the chat yesterday about whether you should sit next to or across from your date. And I want Phil to give us his point of view on this contentious topic. But first off, introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, what's up, everybody? My name's Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. And if you're on a date, if it's just a date where you're getting to know someone, you should sit across from them. That's normal. If you're out with your significant other or someone you've been with, then I think it's acceptable to sit next to them. It is personal preference.
Mm-hmm. But your personal preference being?
Sarah and I sit next to each other usually.
Okay, so I'm just saying, like, that is objectively correct.
Given
that's all I'm trying to say.
Given the 80-something% of the people in the poll yesterday that said the opposite, you are wrong.
Everyone was saying you sit across. That it's weird to sit next to.
If you're, again, this is something that if you're in a relationship, then it's preference. Like I said, me and Sarah sit next to each other. Like we do, we do PDA stuff that's normal. Like there'll be a lot of like whispering or chuckling, or I'll grab her knee and tickle her, like that kind of stuff. We're very flirty and stuff. So that's normal behavior for us. It's acceptable to sit next to the person if you're in a relationship. But if you're on a date, then I would agree, because you're just getting to know each other. You want to be able to look at the person, then it matters. But if you're if it's significant other kind of relationship, if someone's judging you, beat it. Like pound sand. This is the way that me and my girl want to sit. It's not, your opinion doesn't matter. If you're just meeting, then it would be a little weird if you're
it would be way funnier if like you sit down, you just met somebody on Hinge, and like you sit down at a coffee date, you just sit down right next to them.
That's a little weird.
That is weird, and that's what I said yesterday. If it's a first date and you don't know this person, obviously you're gonna sit across. But if it's the expectation and the preference that you sit across for the rest of your relationship, I do find that weird, because it's formal, it's businesslike. It's weird to me.
Okay. All right. Well, me and the chat disagree with you both, so we'll all have to agree to disagree here.
Phil and I will remain on the right side of history on this topic.
Guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. So what are we talking about? Well, we were told recently that the left was looking for their very own Joe Rogan, and they seem to have their answer for us, because you should move over, Joe, because Meghan Markle is launching another podcast, and Michelle Obama is here to talk about everything but politics.
Kind of perfect that the left's answer to Joe Rogan is a woman.
right? They still haven't learned.
They have
from this
learned nothing.
So she has said that she's not going to talk about politics on the show.
Yeah, it's personal life advice, personal stories.
So we're gonna talk about that. We're also gonna talk about actor Anthony Mackie, who's had some social media posts come out from a recent podcast appearance where one of them seemed to be a very, very good take on masculinity, and the other one was a very stupid take on the idea of hard work and success. But I think we're gonna focus mostly on what he has to say about the death of masculinity here in America. So we're going to talk about that. Also, Pedro Pascal and Oscar Isaac have a question for you. Is it toxic masculinity if you won't nibble on your friend's ear?
But, I mean, really, the question is like, is it gay to cuddle with your bros?
Yeah, that's what they're asking.
Yeah.
So we're gonna dive deep into that, because we tackle the hard issues here at PCC. If you guys are ready, we'll get started. Mary, you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Phil?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Rosie O'Donnell is the latest celebrity to hatch her escape plan from Trump's America. She is fleeing back to her ancestral homeland of Ireland, and no one will miss her. I don't think anything of value was lost here, but she posted a very long, drawn-out explanation for her decision on her TikTok account that was about 10 minutes long, but we'll watch the shortened version and hear it from her, why she made this decision.
Do you think she, makes her own TikToks? I guess she does, right? She's using her phone. There's a 20 there.
We have a 20 from Therev295. Phil, what is the meaning of your song Nothing Without You? Is it a breakup song or more of a love song?
I think it's what if I was nothing is what he's talking about. What if I was nothing? What if this is true?
That was not what he said.
No?
Nothing Without You.
There is no song called Nothing Without You.
Oh,
maybe it's from the future.
All right, cool.
Because at the end, the last stanza of the chorus is "Nothing Without You," so it could be.
Oh.
I think he.
So what is the meaning of that song?
It was an argument me and my ex had. Straight up, it was like it was a fight that we had, and I was like, "What if you're wrong?" And then. So.
Well, two people that are not fighting anymore are Rosie O'Donnell and Donald Trump, because Rosie O'Donnell doesn't live here anymore. Let's listen to what she has to say here.
Beef.
They're not gonna stop.
It's Tuesday all day, as my nana would say. And I'm here in Ireland, and it's beautiful and warm, not physically, it's actually quite cold. Moved here on January 15th, and it's been pretty wonderful, I have to say. The people are so loving and so kind, so welcoming, and I'm very grateful. I'm in the process of getting my Irish citizenship, as I have Irish grandparents, and that's what's going on, and that's where I've been and what I've been doing. And although I was never someone who thought I would move to another country. That's what I decided would be the best for myself and my 12-year-old child. You know, I'm happy. Clay is happy. I miss my other kids. I miss my friends. I miss many things about life there at home. And I'm trying to find a home here in this beautiful country. And when, you know, it is safe for all citizens to have equal rights there in America, that's when we will consider coming back. It's been heartbreaking to see what's happening politically and hard for me personally as well. Protect your sanity is all I can say. Protect your sanity as much as you can and try not to swim in the chaos if possible. But I know it's nearly impossible when you're there in the middle of it. And
I mean, there's actually an interesting question to be had about how physical removal from your location changes anything.
Look, I want to give kudos to Rosie O'Donnell because she's one of a handful of leftists that actually finally went through with it.
Yeah.
They're constantly saying, I'm moving, I'm leaving. If this happens, I'm leaving, blah, blah, blah. Bravo for finally going through with it.
Yeah, but she's still going to be posting and talking about U.S. politics.
Of course.
Because that's the center of the rest of the world.
Just as an aside, I was wondering what the abortion laws were in Ireland. Permitted in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy and then in specific cases after that. So, you know, like a lot of places here, just not
just
federally
as if not
regulated.
more restricted.
Yes,
actually.
than a lot of the blue states.
Wait,
here.
I'm sorry.
Way more.
Isn't Rosie O'Donnell a lesbian? Am I getting it wrong?
Look, it
I mean,
doesn't matter. Rosie O'Donnell is not young enough to have a child.
But I'm confused.
I only
That
brought
is
it
an
up.
empty egg carton.
I only brought it up because she brought up equal rights for everyone, and that was the first thing I thought of. Was
No, I know, but
yes.
is she a lesbian?
She has kids, so
Well, lesbians adopt. And
I have no idea.
I don't know. But I don't know. I just thought that was weird that she brought that up. Moonlight sent us a 20 saying, is that Steve Bannon? I have another one.
Bravo.
With Rosie,
very,
the
very.
Rosie room.
Hold on, we need to dwell on that for a second. Very, very astute observation. Very good.
We have another from Weary Traveler. She looks like the lesbian neighbor I had growing up who owned a gardening store down the road, except my neighbor was a normal, hard-working person.
Okay.
Yeah, she's clearly struggling mentally with all of this, and some of her comments on TikTok sympathized. One said, please don't forget us. We can't leave. You actually can. Another one said, I can't believe we live in a world where Rosie O'Donnell has to flee from America for safety.
Ah!
Has to?
Has to.
Like what was
love
going
it.
to happen to her?
Nothing.
was going to
Nothing. This
I
is all.
don't know. I don't know.
It's all just such BS.
Yeah.
Well, the other day, like, I was talking to those protesters on the street again, and they told me that the SAVE Act is going to take away millions of women's right to vote because if your birth certificate doesn't match your government-issued ID and you have taken your husband's last name, you're not going to be allowed to vote anymore.
Is that going to happen, Phil?
Which ironically would affect far more Republican women than
Yeah.
Democrat women. But let's just not even address that part. They come up and they spin a lot of different narratives that I'm sure they earnestly believe. And Rosie O'Donnell is one of those people. She has had a long-standing beef with Donald Trump, and I'm sure that's nowhere close to over. She is considered herself an early target of Trump's iconic Twitter attacks, which have now evolved to govern his interactions with world leaders, as he had a meeting in the Oval Office with the Irish president the other day, dissed her.
Wonder if he was like, look, will you extradite her?
The Irish president was asked by the press why Ireland allowed Rosie O'Donnell to move there, and Trump said, I like that question. But yeah, Trump famously, while being grilled by Meghan Kelly about his attitudes towards women, said that the only woman he is referred to as a fat pig, dog, or a slob is Rosie O'Donnell. So that's Not all women. That's just Rosie O'Donnell, for the record. And they've been going back and forth online for years at this point. I also saw Link Lauren, friend of the show, talk about his personal experience meeting Rosie O'Donnell and realizing that she was completely off her rocker, insane.
How did that happen?
He went to a Hamilton Broadway show and went backstage, saw her roaming around, and he asked her, "Who did you play in the show?" There were very few white roles in Hamilton, which is kind of the shtick. She said, "No, I'm Rosie O'Donnell." I asked if she liked the show, trying to make pleasantries, and she said that she had seen Hamilton 44 times. I don't understand how you sit through Hamilton more than once. Nonetheless, I said, let's take a photo. It was then I knew that this woman was severely unwell. You have got to be sick in the head to go back that many times. Anyway, she fled the country now. Good luck, Rosie.
I kind of like the idea that she's not even, it's not even that she's just politically inclined to Hamilton. She just really loves that stage play and doesn't see anything else.
It's like a ritual for her.
Yeah. She really loves Hamilton. And those guys are their own level of politically biased. Remember, Lin-Manuel Miranda, they just pulled Hamilton from the Kennedy Center, citing political bias, despite the fact that they gave a struggle session to Mike Pence in 2016 when he went to see Hamilton after Trump won the election. These are not serious people.
Well, it does have political bias. That doesn't necessarily mean that it should be censored. Tells an inaccurate account of the founding.
No. They pulled it from the Kennedy Center because they didn't want to perform it.
Right.
Because Trump is now he made himself supreme chair of the of the Kennedy Center.
Well, now Rosie O'Donnell has passed down the mantle of Trump derangement syndrome to a new generation of Hollywood actresses, including Ayo Edebiri.
Well, this is Musk derangement syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to blend into the same thing. Elon Musk, back when this rumor came about, said it would be a terrible idea for Disney to cast Ayo Edebiri in the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Thank you. I remember covering that at the time because a lot of people were saying she was at least in the running to take it up after Johnny Depp.
I mean, we even said we didn't think that this was going to happen.
We never.
They just be
believed
saying
it.
shit a lot of times on X. They just be saying shit.
Elon shared a fake report in February last year claiming that Disney considered Ayo Edebiri as a replacement for Johnny Depp in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, and responded by saying Disney sucks. So just now, over a year later, Ayo Edebiri has responded to that statement saying, "Just remembering when I got some of the most insane death threats and racial slurs of my life. I don't know if it's the #1 moment, but for sure the top 3 for a fake reboot of a movie I had never even heard of because of this man, Elon. LMAO, so not only is he double Sieg Heiling fascist, he's an idiot, but anyway." The cadence of Gen Z social media posts is unmistakable.
Yeah.
How is that Elon's fault?
Everything's.
He literally just said Disney sucks.
I also don't know
true.
what makes him a fascist. I suppose
Sieg Heiling is the key word there.
I mean, private business and government kind of forming together can make that argument, but I don't know if that's what I would call for this. He was a government contractor long before Trump ever took office, so that doesn't really make any sense.
I don't know why you're trying to debunk something that's purely emotional,
It's the way my brain works.
There's not really a point.
It's the way my brain works.
That's a great point.
Also, my brain is wired for content, which requires us to talk for a specific amount of time, and just saying they're idiots doesn't fulfill those requirements. Even if it's true and it's the most succinct way of doing it.
That's okay.
That's okay. All right, let's move on. Me and Mary discussed this one the other day, and she's decided
I'm so ready to dive into.
She is so ready. I was very emotional about this one the other day, but I have since. The great thing about me being me is that I can be angry about something 1 minute and then it's just gone. All my anger and indignation towards this is just gone.
Well, although Miley Cyrus has since gotten a divorce from Liam Hemsworth, a clip of the couple from back when they were together has resurfaced and gotten millions upon millions of views with people arguing about what kind of toxic dynamic they must have had when they were married. And in this clip, you can see them at the premiere for Thor: Love and Thunder, where Chris Hemsworth was starring in the movie.
I think this is for Avengers. The backdrop was Avengers, I think it said.
You can see in the background that
Does it say Thor?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, obviously his brother, Chris Hemsworth, is in the franchise, so he showed up to support him and brought her along. But I think it's pretty obvious Miley Cyrus is more famous than Liam Hemsworth before and after they split up. So she was getting a lot of attention from the paparazzi on the red carpet, and she then pretends to lick him, as you'll see in the clip. Let's play it.
Yes, here we go, guys.
She doesn't actually lick him, but it's like she's pretending to as a joke.
We have to mute it because I think it's got one of her songs. Here we go.
I didn't want to leave.
It's a different song than the one that we played the other day. And he says, could you behave for once?
They're doing lip reading on the video. And so she gets pissed off and pushes him out of the way and then starts posing on her own just to show him that she doesn't need him, to put him in his place, essentially.
Was she doing drugs at that time?
Probably.
That's something that Brett brought up as a possibility, yeah.
Avengers Endgame. It was Avengers
Oh, I
Endgame.
see.
Yeah.
Not like it matters.
Well, no, because it would speak to the time frame and when it happened.
Okay.
Right?
I don't remember when they divorced. Allegedly, it was because Liam Hemsworth was caught being unfaithful with an untold number of women, and that is why she ended up writing her hit song Flowers, where she sounded like a schizophrenic maniac, like, I can buy myself flowers. I can talk to myself.
Yes.
I can cradle back and forth in the corner of my padded cell.
And the point of this whole thread is for the worst person you know, the absolute worst person you know, to post about how you should never let no man dull your shine.
Yeah, that's, I think, what had you so righteously or viciously indignant in response to this clip. Here were a couple of takes. Every time I see this, I'm reminded that it's important to know your partner. He wanted someone more reserved and then picked Miley effing Cyrus. She wanted someone who would be as crazy as she was and picked Liam Hemsworth. Come on, man. Another one said, Liam Hemsworth is the Joe Alwyn in Miley Cyrus's dating history. They're referring to Taylor Swift's 6-year-long relationship with Joe Alwyn. A loser, small d of a man who dulls the shine and glitter that their significant others have, who is so insecure, thinking that they're somewhat also deserving of that shine and glitter when they are not. Another one said, someone that doesn't match your freak and tries to diminish you is the worst shit ever. And then all the rest of the responses are from women basically saying, like, never let a man dull your shine and dim your light and degrade you and minimize who you are because you're a queen and you deserve better.
Never compromise.
Yes, that's basically what they're saying.
My response would have been, so what if they were at like an event for her and the tone of it is supposed to be over the top and he's just standing there sulking like an emo loser, like, I don't want to do this right now. And she's like, will you like have some energy? And he's like, no, I won't do that. It would be the same thing, right? Because he's basically saying like, we're at this event. They're asking for pictures. We're trying to show some sense of decorum. And again, I want to point out, I'm not new to the internet. This is also deceptively edited and cut to make it look probably worse than it is, but the point still stands. However, it actually happened doesn't actually matter. What matters is how the idiots in the comment section took it. That's not the point. So again, the worst feminist you know uses this as her edification for her worst impulses, is all I was saying.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. Yeah. It could be, though, that he was saying that to her as a joke, like, oh, can you behave for once? Ha ha. Like, not like, can you just shut up? Like, some hateful statement that he made there. That's a lot of people reading into it what they wanted to see. And they want to see it that way because they have their own hang-ups. Because their brains are broken. Their brains are melted by all of this feminism, this like pop feminism, hashtag feminism.
Oh, I don't think that it's just the pop feminism. I think all the feminism is kind of breaking people's brains.
Well, I would say the mainstreamed version of it is where sentiments like this are popularized.
I mean, maybe this is maybe he got really mad and then cheated on her like 14 times.
He did cheat on her,
which is
a lot.
which is wrong too, and absolutely awful. But the point
He's
is,
alleged to have cheated on her.
no,
or
no,
is
he.
confirmed?
I think
He
it was
did,
pretty
yeah.
confirmed. Yeah, like nobody's saying he's a good person. The point of this discussion isn't about his mistakes, though. You could make a whole video on the stupidity of that, and rightfully so. She then writes music about it and makes a ton of money off of it, which is right, fair play.
But I have noticed that a lot of people, they do like hate their spouses. And it's like you're going to pity party about hating your husband or your wife when you're the one who made the decision to marry that person.
The Dadvocate has a whole genre of Instagram reels about women who make videos that are
great.
Yeah. That emasculate their husbands, and women's like talking about having to train their husbands, and of course the men are pathetic for allowing that to be, themselves to be in a relationship where that is being done.
Yeah, I think those women are making their husbands more hateable.
And those women, it's kind of like when I was talking about they make music for women in an Altima driving alone. Okay, that's what this is. This is just the YouTube short, or the Instagram version of the music that these women use as their anthem, which is I activate my worst impulses. I treat other people poorly. I do so in the name of my own self-interest. And this is validated by a society that tells them that they were kept down for generations. Therefore, acting on your worst impulses is justified. And that would be fine if it was couched in some language that didn't infuriate me, which is mostly like the same stuff you see on Pop Bass, which is a bunch of modernity crammed into language, which I really, really hate, which is dull your shine, or the people who look at this and call her mother, which is the most annoying thing in the world. So again, when I talk about this one, like I fully understand that I'm trying to rationalize something that's very, very stupid, but I refuse to just react angrily without at least trying to explain why it is that way.
Yeah, you responded very strongly to the clip.
Well, if again, and even when even when we were doing that, I said, look, I understand that whoever edited this clip gets what they want from me if I respond that way.
Well, you did, and you gave.
Well, I
them
mean,
what they,
no, I'd like to
what
think
they
that,
wanted.
I'd like to think that here this was more measured.
Yeah.
Okay, so this
now
was
that
a
you've
more
had
measured response.
48 hours to think about it and calm down. How about you, Phil? What is your interpretation of this whole conversation that's around this clip, regardless of what happened in it?
It's just fake and gay.
It's fake and gay.
The thing is, I don't have any respect for like online feminists at all. So like when they're out there yipping about this little clip that they think they've seen, and all it is a vector for them to vent about men because they're, sad and unhappy, and whatever their personal experience is, they're just placing it on that. No one knows what their actual relationship was like. It is clear that Miley Cyrus at one time was a drug addict. I don't know if she was a drug addict in this particular in this time frame, but if she is, it's likely that the comment from Chris had a little bit of stank on it, if you will. But also, if he has been found to be cheating on her,
They're both bad people.
It's just just
probably.
Hollywood drama, and I just don't care.
Here, this comment says, I love that she's so untamed and herself. Never lets herself change for anyone. In a healthy relationship, there is give and take that requires you perhaps to tame yourself. But they won't entertain the idea that that's actually healthy.
I brought this up to you the other day when we first saw this clip. So there's this dating show on YouTube by someone named Arlette Amuli.
Okay.
And this is all black contestants. So this is something that goes viral on black Twitter like all the time. I see clips of it. So the point is, it's called Pop the Balloon. And they either have a lineup of all men or a lineup of all women. They're holding balloons, and someone of the opposite sex walks in and introduces themselves as a prospect for the contestants. if any of the contestants see some kind of red flag on them or hear something they don't like, they pop their balloon to show that they're not interested anymore.
Oh, is this the one where like a dude said something and all the balloons got popped at once or something?
That happens a lot. That happens very often when they have
that.
a line of female contestants because they have very specific standards for
I
what
remember
they're
somebody
looking
said
for.
something about
and-
trans women and like all the women popped
Right.
their balloon at once.
Right.
Yes.
If a man comes into that show and says that he's not willing to date a trans woman, then the cis women will pop their balloons in solidarity.
That is
you know?
insane. Like
is.
it is 100% S the D bigot.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
You're insane if you think men are going to tolerate that.
Yeah. So I remember this one clip from Pop the Balloon where a man shows up to a line of female contestants and some of them popped their balloons. One of them was still interested and he spoke to her and asked her, you know, to introduce herself. And she said, yeah, I'm just like looking for someone who can like tame me and basically that was the point is she's like, I'm kind of out of control. Like I'm kind of crazy sometimes. Like I just need someone who can handle me, you know, handle me at my worst or you don't deserve me at my best type of statement. And he said to her like, you're just expecting me to parent you.
Yeah.
This is insane.
The meme of women posting infographics that say, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best, is a meme beyond the age of memetics. Like it goes back to the beginnings of Facebook and before.
I'm pretty sure it's a misattributed quote to Marilyn Monroe,
And the
who is
worst-
way hotter than all of them.
And again, the follow up to that meme was like, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Sincerely, somebody who is never at their best.
Yes.
Like that is true. The worst person you know uses that as the excuse to not change their behavior or be introspective in the slightest.
And the equivalent of that, I think, when you see it in men, is that something you said off air yesterday. Men who are looking for a wife who's more like their mom, who manages their life and manages all of their social connections and provides everything for them and solves problems for them and tends to them emotionally, and also one who is emotionally dysregulated and flies off the handle easily. You just shouldn't expect someone to be managing your dysfunction.
Well,
all
the whole
time.
point is like if you're going to be in a productive and healthy relationship, you've got to figure out your own shit first.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how do you expect it to come together for both of you? Like that's actually insane.
Maybe this is the type of dating advice that we'll hear on Michelle Obama's podcast.
I can't wait to find out. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on then, shall we?
Really?
Yeah, she's going to be giving
No,
dating
I
advice.
mean, Brett,
No,
you
of
can't
course-
wait to find out.
I'm lying. I'm
It's-
joking.
I'm lying.
It's
I
fine.
like.
One thing I have learned is that people sometimes have a hard time either telling when I'm joking or
I guess I've just
like
heard you talk for longer than most, so I can tell.
Like I make a lot of like the same stuff happens on X
I
where
can't wait to find out.
I say stuff and people don't realize that I'm
on
joking.
X is a whole other
Yeah.
problem. Like people never detect sarcasm on that app.
All right, let us move on.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that we're gonna have to ask Phil what he feels about this one.
Yes, this is
I'm
about
nervous.
diva behavior from rock star Gene Simmons. I didn't even know that Kiss was still touring because they went on the End of the Road tour. I guess they're still performing.
Listen, they did a retirement like end of the
Yeah.
thing tour in the 90s. They have been I'm pretty sure their first retirement tour was in the 90s.
And it's kind of a
They
meme.
they've been done being Kiss
Yeah.
and touring for 35 years.
So this is all the post-credit scene, basically.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
So they're still trucking along. Kiss has gotten a lot of backlash for their marketing tactics in the past, and this is the latest
you
example
can buy
of
a
that.
Kiss coffin.
You can. Yeah, there are a lot of things. We'll get to that. So now Gene Simmons is charging his fans a fee of over $12,000 for the opportunity to be his personal assistant for the day.
I'm sorry, their first retirement tour began March 11th, 2000. They've been
Yeah.
in retirement and touring for 25 years.
I mean, this happens in wrestling. Ric Flair has been retiring for like 100 years.
They addressed this. The band finished their end of the road world tour at MSG in December 2023. I guess that was like their 12th end of the road tour.
The road just keeps going.
Gene Simmons made it clear it was the end of the road for the band, not the brand. Kiss is a universe of its own. Movies, merchandise, maybe even Broadway. The band will end, but the Kiss experience is immortal. It's the end of touring. We're the hardest working band on stage. I've got 40 pounds of armor and all the rest of it, and 7-inch platform heels. Each of the dragon boots weighs as much as a bowling ball. Physically, it's tough to do that.
Personally,
Understandable. That's why he needs a personal assistant to do manual labor for him. He's getting old. He's getting fragile.
Well, I mean,
Time comes for us all.
He's in his 70s, right?
Yes, he is.
he will show up in random police procedurals. Did you know that? Like, he just shows up in random.
He's keeping himself booked and busy.
He showed up in like an episode of Castle as Gene Simmons himself.
I love that for him.
Yeah.
So for the hefty price of $12,495, you can get what they call the ultimate Gene Simmons experience, as it's listed on their website, where you get the chance to be Gene Simmons' personal assistant and roadie for the day. This experience includes meeting up with Gene Simmons and the band members early in the day and going over their schedule. Then you'll be on their band team crew for the entire day. That means you're doing manual labor, unloading things off of trailers.
My ego couldn't handle this. My ego could not handle working next to somebody who is getting paid to do what I'm paying $12,000 for.
Yeah. Like, just, you can get a job, like on the tour.
I know that fantasy camps are like a big thing, you know, like be a rock star for a week, be a pro athlete for a week, blah, blah, blah. And they bring in like professional, like famous people to kind of make it worth the experience. Have some self-respect.
Well, you might even...
Phil, do you have a different take on this? Am I wrong here? Like, is this because people, I guess they're just so dedicated and love rock music so much that they would be willing to pay for the whole experience of doing this? I could be wrong.
Of working for the band.
So there are people that have too much money or more money than they know what to do with.
Yeah.
And there are people that love the whole, like, I guess the aura that goes along with rock stars and stuff.
Yeah.
Especially seeing as nowadays there are very few bands that are of the caliber of a band like Kiss. And what I mean is young people don't look at very many people in bands the way that people that from the 80s and 90s used to look at people in, or 70s, 80s, and 90s used to look at people in bands. So there's a dude that's 50 years old, 60 years old, that loves Kiss, has loved Kiss his whole life, has gone to see Kiss a bunch of times, but he never got to meet him, and he's got more money than he knows what to do with because mostly he worked a real job and his kids are out of college and he saved well and he made good money. Maybe $12,000 isn't a thing. It's, look, if you're the kind of dude that's like, and I know dudes like this, dentists, doctors, they'll walk into a guitar shop and they'll be like, that's a nice Paul Reed Smith, I want it. And they walk out with a $15,000 Paul Reed Smith. And then 2 weeks later, they walk into the same, and this place is called Brian's Guitars. It's in Connecticut. They have amazing Paul Reed Smiths, and the same dude will walk in 2 weeks later and be like, that's an awesome Paul Reed Smith, I want it. And it's $15,000. And he'll walk in again a month later. That's a great custom. It gets to the point where Brian will call people, hey, Brad, I've got a line on 3 new PRSs that are coming. I'll show you them before I put them out if you want. And he's like, I'll be down. And he'll go and he'll just buy them all. Dudes like that exist that have, they, again, doctors, dentists, lawyers,
literally
that don't have a lot of, they have a boatload of money that they got nothing else to do with, and stuff like guitars, it holds its value pretty well. So,
that's literally, so Zach from Comics Matter used to talk about how comics are they're made for divorced dentists.
Yeah.
Who, like, they can afford the hobby because they're getting so expensive, and they make so many variant covers for each issue that nobody else can afford it. Or you're Wayne from Wayne's World, who buys the Fender Stratocaster and because he gets his check from selling Wayne's World.
I mean, look, man, I have a $6,000 Fender Stratocaster that, by all rights, is only worth $6,000 because it was made at this specific factory at a specific time when a specific dude was working there. I got a great deal on it, but the reason I bought it is because of that stuff. And that guitar is going to be worth only more money in the future because they're not making any more from the Fullerton factory when the specific Luther worked there.
So I guess if you're working for Gene Simmons, it's not going to hold its value because it's personal experience,
No,
but
but
it's a one-of-a-kind experience.
Exactly. And the thing is, they've got money, they've got time on their hands, so why not?
I could not, like, there's nothing in... Well, okay, let me pull this back to like modern day. Like, what would this look like for Gen Z? Would it be like spend a day working for Kai Cenat? Like spend a day doing camera work for Kai Cenat while he
look
streams?
at how many people give boatloads of money to their famous OnlyFans chick. Just hand her $10,000 just cause.
Yeah.
That stuff happens all the time because it makes the dude feel good. It's It's a way better idea to give 15 grand to Gene Simmons than it is to give 10 to some OnlyFans chick so that her and her boyfriend can go on a vacation.
So you heard it here first, guys. For $12,000, you can spend a day with PCC, helping us set up a show.
Yeah, you can just do all of the work for us and pay for it too.
Guys, they're not kidding. If you have $12,000, they will take $6,000 each, and you can come here and set everything up. All they need to do is clear it with Tim.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. If anyone is, yeah, you're right. If you're in the business of waving around just a huge amount of cash, probably better to spend it on a day with Gene Simmons than Bonnie Blue.
Absolutely.
If it's an either
I saw somebody in the chat mention bathwater, or buying bathwater.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm sure there are a lot of people who would pay for Gene Simmons.
Look, there are people that have good jobs that have more money than they know what to do with. And it doesn't mean that they're bajillionaires or anything. But again, if you've got two kids if you're an empty nester, your kids are gone, they're out of school, they're taken care of, you've got a nest egg, you still work, whatever, you've got a business that you own, your stocks are doing great, your 401k is doing great. I know a boatload of dudes that have PVS 31 night vision, right? Dual tube night vision. Those things are $15,000. I know a boatload of guys that have them. You get a dude that has a boat. That thing probably costs $10 to put in the water, and then $1,000 every year to keep it up, maybe more. There are like if you get two nice ATVs and a trailer to drag it, that's $12,000, $13,000, $14,000.
Yeah.
So there are people that have that kind of money to spend it. And how many times have you seen dudes with ATVs? They go out and they haul around on them. Snowmobiles. If you have adult, and the point that I'm making is adult hobbies, right? Adult hobbies aren't cheap. I have a boatload of guns. My guns don't cost $500-600 a piece. They're like $6,000 each. Once I get done tricking them out, I've got a lot of guns. But that's the thing. It's like people will spend money on what they see value in. Would I give Gene Simmons money to go do that stuff? I'm not buying a Kiss coffin, right? But I'm not giving money to some OnlyFans chick to go hang out with her either. Yeah. This is what people do. People that have money, they'll spend money on things they want.
It's funny because they say women be shopping, but men really be shopping.
They women
love it.
The women are buying like more. The men are buying
more
like
quantity.
One thing that costs more money.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that was like, so when I quit skating for companies and I could actually start using skates that weren't the brands that I skated for. And then I had money at a certain point. I started buying like expensive skates that I wasn't able to skate before because I didn't skate for that brand.
Look, man.
So that's fair enough.
Think about it like this. If you cut hair, right, and that's your job, you will spend $1,000 on a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
And then people that don't cut hair are like, you spent $1,000 on scissors? Blah, 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 blah. How did you blah, blah, blah. But they're nice scissors, and for some reason, it was worth it to you.
Some of their other gimmicks with the Kiss brand universe include, Kiss-themed caskets for nearly $4,000 a piece, featuring their faces on them. They also sell Kiss-branded condoms spelled with a K, inflatable tongues, and Kiss toilet paper. So I guess they're just merchandising the hell out of this before they go to the grave.
Yeah, might as well.
This is what Kiss is known for.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What would you guys like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Cringe, please.
Cringe.
We'll see cringe. We have two, actually.
We do.
Right?
All right. Well, I'll show you the one that I found first. It wasn't It's kind of.
What do you
bad.
mean?
It's. I saw this yesterday.
Oh, my.
I've continued to follow the journey of FatCon.
Oh, great.
Which is a real thing.
Cool.
So here's their announcement for FatCon merch.
All right.
Hey, fabulous fatty. Are you so sad because you missed FatCon 2025? Well, the good news is you can help make a donation toward keeping FatCon alive for 2026 and hook yourself up with some FatCon 2025 merch. Like...
I mean, I don't know if I would buy con merch from a con I didn't go to just to fund the next con, even if it was FatCon.
T-shirt grab bag.
Rotate the video next time if you're going to show new merch. Showing it backwards is not a good look. It looks like Taff Knock.
Different kinds of T-shirts.
And maybe don't put the text in front of the logo from the
Maybe
voiceover.
Like I had 2 more T-shirts around here. Found one, but it's covered in cat hair.
On brand.
Or fun things like keychains, prints, stickers. How do I get this fabulous merch, you ask? Go to our bio, go to the link tree, click on the merch shop. You can find a whole bunch of bundles that you get to pick from. You make your donation, you get that bundle in return, and you get the joy of knowing that you help keep that con alive for another year.
Not sponsored by Ozempic.
You can also go to our website, fatcon.org, and buy your tickets for 2026. They're on sale. We really hope you'll join us. In the meantime, go hook yourself up with some merch.
Keep FatCon alive on a ventilator.
Look, you too.
Do they sell FatCon merch in an extra small? Asking for a
That's
friend.
a very good question. I might need to buy some.
I would love to see Mary
Wear the
wearing
FatCon
FatCon
merch.
stuff.
I'm gonna go to FatCon.
All right, we have another cringe.
They're gonna be like, wait a minute, this isn't body dysmorphia con.
We're going to watch Benny Blanco and Selena Gomez talk about how they resolve fights. In case you can't see, it's pretty close up there. Benny Blanco has painted his toenails.
The first to apologize after an argument.
Both of us.
We would communicate through
Wait, do they like pause and say it at the same time?
No.
everything, and I would say we both say sorry.
Why would you not say sorry? You're gonna like try to win an argument. The thing I don't understand about men is they'll get into, no, I just want to,
No, go for it.
they'll get into these huge fights with their partner. I talked to all my friends, they get in these huge fights and they're like, yeah, like I was right. I showed her how I was right. I was like, but you lose no matter what. You can either be right and have an angry girlfriend, or you can like just be like, oh yeah, maybe I was being a little bit stupid.
So,
And then you have a happy wife.
But then watch this part.
You're very sweet.
Happy wife, happy life.
Who's the
You.
most competitive?
What? She has no FOMO at all. She has no anything. There could be the largest party happening right outside of a door, and she'll just completely fall asleep and not care about anything.
Yeah.
Well, competitive-
So that has nothing to do with the question.
Oh.
Who's most competitive? We don't get
Yeah,
competitive.
we don't. I don't care.
Who is the
Thoughts?
Well, I did just watch an interview with Mike Posner talking about working with Benny Blanco, so maybe I'm feeling a little bit.
Didn't know they worked together.
Yeah, early days of his career,
Okay.
he worked with Benny Blanco a lot. So that doesn't make this any less embarrassing. So she looked very disdainful.
So I am of the opinion that the whole like winning an argument, like the goal shouldn't be to win the argument, right? Like that isn't going to produce a positive result. If your desire is to have a long relationship with this person, and every time you get into a disagreement, your goal is to win, that means the other person is going to lose. And that means the other person eventually is going to get sick and tired of feeling like they're the loser all the time in the relationship. You shouldn't want to feel like you win. You should want to solve the problem. So if solving the problem requires you taking a step back and be like, all right, hold on, what's actually going on here? Talking about it, that should be the proper course of action. Trying to win means that you're going to end up making your significant other feel bad 9 times out of 10, and that is not a positive result for a relationship.
Well, that's constructive insight, but to be honest, I didn't listen to the substance of anything Benny Blanco said because he's a male feminist.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
nothing that he says matters. To me, at least. We have cute of the day.
Yes, we do. All right, guys, here we go. This one's from Laura. It says, meet Buck. He's my sister's 3-year-old Dalmatian, but I have to include a pic where he was a puppy. He brings so much joy to our lives in many funny moments, as you will see in the clip I added.
Oh,
That is a very cute
That is
dog.
an adorable dog.
very tiny.
Oh.
You don't see Dalmatians.
No,
these
you don't.
days.
He's watching baseball. Turn the TV off.
He's enthralled.
He is. We are so Toast definitely has characters in shows that she will pay attention to more than other
That's funny.
things.
I know Tim was saying that their baby has a fixation on Greg Gutfeld. Like, just the biggest Greg Gutfeld fan.
And is
out
not a
there.
fan of Gene Shapiro, Janine
Right.
Shapiro, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, this one's from Roger. He says, here's a little stray Tom that made friends with my cats. I decided to feed and bribe to be my friend too.
Aww.
Well, that's always good. So we have
Very
in our
cute.
neighborhood there are several neighborhood cats where we live. There's Bucket and Dusty. They're brothers.
If you've named them,
No, that's their actual names. We know the family that owns them.
oh, okay, so,
So
they're
that's
not actually.
they've got
named.
they've got tags and everything. They're all just allowed to roam the neighborhood. And Bucket comes out during the day and Dusty comes out at night. And they each get their own bowl of food whenever we get home. We put out food for them. But then also we'll drive by the local bar and grill at like 11 p.m. and it's closed. And there's just cats sitting in the street talking to each other.
They just have a whole ass community.
They just have a whole community over there. It's
wonder
amazing.
what they're talking about. Like,
I
what are
would-
they plotting?
I would like to know.
They're plotting a civil war.
very, very
An
likely to.
uprising.
All right, guys, let's get started.
Move over Joe Rogan because a couple of girl bosses are about to take the podcasting world by storm and make herstory. Starting with Meghan Markle, you might have thought that she already had a podcast. Well, that one no longer exists because it was a massive failure. The new one, under a new network called Lemonada, is called Confessions of a Female Founder with Meghan Markle. So she has been selling products in her As Ever line for about a week now, and she is going to tell us all about what it's like to be a leading entrepreneur and a female in the business space and being a founder. And she's going to give us all of her insights about what that's like. I'm sure it's not as easy as it
Limiting
looks.
it to women is stupid. She could have like so many people on. Like imagine what would happen if she had Luke Belmar on.
They should talk business.
They could talk business.
Yeah, definitely. We have some information about it. The first episode is going to premiere on April 8th, and it's going to be on all platforms, even though she doesn't have a deal with Spotify anymore for Archetypes. That previous podcast, Archetypes, was an interview show where she brought on a random selection of female guests and talked about the ways that women are diminished into different archetypes, and we need to break out of those to combat the patriarchy.
$20 million and she did like 12 episodes.
Yeah.
That is good work if you can get it.
It was beyond a flop when it came out. So we're promised that the series she is debuting allows audiences to be a fly on the wall and hear unfiltered stories behind the successes of notable female founders, while also sneaking a peek behind the curtain of Meghan's own entrepreneurial journey, launching her brand As Ever. She has given a statement about the new show. I'm so proud of what we're creating and the candid conversations I'm able to have with other female founders as we unpack the twists and turns of building a business. Through my friendships and relationships, we're able to dive into the type of insights that everyone wants to know as they're building a business, and that I'm able to tap into as I'm building my own business with As Ever.
This is a bit of advice for her. Somebody pointed out earlier that she doesn't seem to really know how to talk to other people
Yes.
about theirs. It would be better for her to get like a co-host of no name or note who can kind of interview her every episode. Rather
Because she
than,
only wants to talk about herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some podcasts that are formatted like that.
Well, and it's not like having on a barrage of famous guests is really going to do numbers for her. She only got 12 episodes out of her last one, and they were all big names. It also would cut down on the budget.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that these people are getting, maybe not. Maybe those aren't pay to play.
I mean, even
appearances.
a few years ago, Meghan Markle had more clout and cachet than she has now. She's been significantly diminished, and fewer people in that Hollywood space even have that much respect for her.
There's 20.
Pop Culture Junkie said, Phil, at a seminar for new managers, I learned an important lesson for dealing with an issue with an employee that applies to just about any potential confrontation in life. Focus on the problem, not the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So Lemonada Media is an independent podcast network that she signed a deal with back in February last year, which is a long time to come up with a damn podcast. A year after she signed with them.
February of last year.
Yes.
Okay. Damn.
Yes. And
I mean, could this be connected to the Spotify deal needing to run out?
maybe there was an aspect of her contract that said she couldn't sign with a new network for podcast we needed when we started Lemonada. Meghan is such a warm and welcoming person, and you feel that in her interviews. Ironically, Meghan Markle didn't interview anyone for her interview podcast, Archetypes. She actually pre-recorded herself asking the questions, and then they spliced in clips of her celebrity guests answering them. They were not actually having a conversation in real life.
Why you always lying?
So if she's such a warm and welcoming person, allegedly, I would assume she's able to hold a conversation, but I guess not. You feel that in her interviews. She creates a comfortable space for her guests to bring fascinating personal stories to the table and open up in a way they likely haven't before publicly. Listeners can expect conversations that are way more break room than boardroom.
Oh.
So it's all about how hard it is to be a businesswoman and a girl boss in 2025.
Guys, if you're having audio issues, hit refresh.
Hopefully everything's good. Okay. And at the same time that Meghan Markle's podcast has been announced, Michelle Obama's podcast is floundering. It was just announced on Monday this week, and already it's a massive disappointment. Michelle Obama's team allegedly is unconditionally disappointed with the launch of her new podcast with her brother Craig Robinson called IMO, short for In My Opinion.
Okay, I want to point out, so Dom Lucra posted about it on X, and he attached like a YouTube video to it, which was the announcement of the podcast that only had like 8.5K views.
That is
But
not a
that's-
screenshot of the announcement. It's an hour-long video.
Well, yeah. So, but what I'm saying is like, they were kind of. It seemed like they were saying that the episode only got 8.5K views, but really it was just the announcement.
No, it wasn't.
of
It was an episode. It was 53 minutes long.
on YouTube.
In the picture he posted, it was of a 53-minute long video.
I mean, but that wasn't the first episode. I thought it was just them talking about the
Yeah,
launch
it's
of it.
It's the first episode.
Because I only saw they don't have like a specific YouTube channel for IMO. It's just on her YouTube channel that only like she must have just started it.
Yeah,
only
it's
got, like,
going.
19.
Her channel that has her name is going to be hosting it. They say this is the home of the IMO podcast. Each week, Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson, her brother, will bring their unique experiences and share their candid perspectives to answer a range of questions from people like you. This podcast will leave you reflecting, laughing, and feeling more prepared to tackle life's biggest questions. Tune in every Wednesday for brand new episodes. So what they promise is not any sort of political discussion, but only sharing personal stories and life advice and answering questions about those things from the audience. There is going to be Michelle Obama dating advice on the IMO podcast. This is what everyone has been dying to hear, I thought. But they're still struggling to even break 10,000 viewers on the first episode, and this is our former first lady.
I just saw a video the other day of Obama getting like a standing ovation at like a a Knicks game or a Lakers game. My takeaway was that his stage presence and charisma was 100% real, and he commanded a room and was very, very good at, connecting with people. And the hype around her felt largely manufactured, connected to the desire to get him over even more than he already was. But when he goes out, I mean, he's still a rock star in liberal cities. He is. But would anybody show up to watch like a 2-hour podcast of her? I don't know, but I think people would probably show up for him. Maybe not in the same numbers that conservatives get for podcasts and stuff. Like there isn't that thirst, I don't think, on the left for that type of long form audio content. I don't.
Right.
I think that they've liked the organization that they've always had, which is sound bites and Hollywood and network TV.
Late night shows. And that's kind of the opposite of the politicians. It's the people that structure to give the politicians the cover. But his hype has always felt very real. Hers, I guess, feels very manufactured.
I think that I'm not sure if her hype is manufactured or if he's just so charismatic that his kind of overflows to her.
So
it rubs off on her.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I just, like I said, she would show up on TV shows.
She's not particularly charismatic herself, I don't think. One of the things that goes along with charisma, whether people like it or not, is pretty privilege. Like Barack Obama's a good-looking guy. He's got a big smile, big toothy grin.
He was also very young when he got in office.
Whereas she's not particularly attractive. I also don't think that. I think that her people like her because of Barack Obama. I think that her by herself, without Barack Obama, I don't think that she's particularly charismatic or likable.
No, but it's funny to think about, for instance, Melania Trump like starting a podcast. She would never do that. She would never even expose herself to public scrutiny in that way. Yeah. She keeps herself very low key behind the scenes when she has the opportunity. She was even one of the only people sitting down during a standing ovation at Trump's address to Congress, because what does she have to prove to anyone? Like, people would be seriously interested in what she has to say, but she takes a more mysterious tone and doesn't choose to share anything personal with the public unless it's under a very controlled circumstance.
Which is its own kind of mystique.
That has its charm for sure, and that is kind of a form of privacy that is lost on people like Meghan Markle or Michelle Obama. Other people are basically just saying that this feels inauthentic. We came off of this election that was called a podcast election, and people claimed that the outcome of the 2024 election was almost entirely determined by podcasts and who they would host and who they would talk to, including Trump on Rogan, and Vance on Rogan, and Theo Vaughn.
Well, even think about Logan Paul.
And the Nelk Boys, and what was the other one? Full Send?
Yeah, but them being as successful as they are doesn't even translate to the ones they hire sometimes. So they gave Hawk Tuah chick a podcast on Jake Paul's or Logan on their network, right? Yeah. And even that felt to most people to be inauthentic because it wasn't something achieved of her own volition. It was put through somebody else's network to do so. And when you see these celebrities launch their podcast and it's perfectly formed, it's got great graphic design and thumbnails and everything, it feels like it was developed by a company and then disseminated outward, whereas the way a lot of these people started, I mean, Joe Rogan goes back to the early days of podcasting. So
he was one of the very first.
Exactly.
People to do it,
it has built-in credibility just by virtue of how long it's been going on. And Theo Vaughn is so weird. He's a natural entertainer. It's very hard to look at that unless you're maybe politically inclined to dislike him, which I don't even know how that would work. He just had on, who did he just have on recently? He had on, somebody like some Democrat. It was Gavin.
Theo Vaughn?
Yeah.
He just had Hassan Piker.
Yeah, he just had Hassan Piker on.
You also see Gavin Newsom hopping onto that trend because he realizes where people are interested. He's having right-wing guests on his podcast because he knows where things are trending. It's toward the right. And that's maybe not something to celebrate if we really think about who Gavin Newsom is
it's also
and what
a
his
built-in
motivations
audience
are.
for him.
Yes. And the podcast election term came about because, as you said, those hosts have already built a credibility and trust with their audiences that the mainstream media outlets just don't have anymore.
Kamala did Call Her Daddy, which is the biggest podcast for women, and then they did not host Trump.
But it flopped because they struck the entirely wrong note with that. And to Alex Cooper's credit, she did offer to have Trump on Call Her Daddy, and I assume he decided against doing that. I would have loved to see it, though. Eventually, maybe. But yeah, now Michelle Obama's podcast is being flooded with abuse from trolls. That's so sad.
It's welcome to the internet.
Some of these comments were referring to the former First Lady criticizing her gender, with many users writing that she is a man, calling her Big Mike, and referring to the podcast as being done by two brothers. Other comments were more directly critical of the podcast, with one writing, "Forced, scripted, not authentic. This podcast is only entertaining because of the comments." Another said, "I know there's a DNC staffer whose job it is to read these comments. This comment is to let you know that we don't want podcasts. We want policies that will improve our material conditions." Now, there were some people who were praising this podcast, but very, very few. And here's actually some data to back up Michelle Obama's unfair cyberbullying campaign. Online abuse and trolling are pervasive on social media, but Black women are disproportionately targeted. According to a 2018 study from Amnesty, Black women were 84% more likely to be mentioned in abusive or problematic tweets compared to white women. And 1 in 10 tweets mentioning Black women were either abusive or problematic. And another study this year from Forbes found that 27% of Black women have reported an incidence of online abuse. That is what Michelle Obama and maybe half of Meghan Markle are experiencing right now. Torrents of abuse.
Yes.
And they're just not allowed to be themselves. People are dulling their shine.
I feel like the podcast space is a rough go for celebrities, right? Like, it's going to be labeled as inauthentic from the get-go.
Because they're not from that.
Like, even the most successful celebrity podcasts, in my opinion, tend to be the ones who are like, I was a child actor, now here's me rewatching my show that I was in because this is my job now. Mm-hmm. Which feels like you hate to see it, but you're like...
Is that what they do?
No, a lot of them do. Boy Meets World cast does that. I mean, not the main guys, but the other people in it. Who else? Mike Rosenbaum does his podcast. I mean, his is more of an interview show too. But him and the dude from Smallville rewatch Smallville episodes and talk about it. So
thank you.
Hold on. Yes, I wonder if Michelle Obama ever told Barack he was dimming her light.
He was trying to steal her glitter.
Do you think that Barack Obama ever dimmed Michelle's light?
Is that a euphemism that I'm not?
No. I'm asking the question. Thank you, Tom Welling.
No, I mean, I think that if anything, Obama is the star of that relationship. So, yeah.
All right, let's move on then.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Thrashing Thursday, Brett, Mary, and Phil. Out of all the things I've created, the memes, the shorts, I'm most proud of coining Thrashing Thursday."
Yeah. Thank you.
You should be. Stefan Buttle said, "I want reparations from yesterday's hostage party." Reparations?
What reparations?
Y'all did that all on your own.
People were mad that I ended the show, but here's the thing. The show keeps going as long as there is a super chat to read. It's not my fault you guys weren't quicker.
If there's a 5-second delay, we out. That's all I'm saying. Shane H. Wilder said, "Surprise crisis parties before the show starts. Brett's glad he wore his brown pants today."
For real, bro.
Gross.
Oh.
Let's do one more.
Arsenal Man said, "What kind of weirdo sits next to their date on a first date? Sounds like intimacy issues." It sounds like something. I mean, I agree. I agree for the record that it is weird to sit next to someone that you don't know that you're just meeting. But once you're together, I think you ought to be sitting next to each other, not across, because across,
huh?
Yes, because across is business lunch. Across is you're closing a deal. Across is a job interview, not a date. That's how I see it. I stand by that.
Okay, what if you are right-handed and your significant other is left-handed?
I never really encountered this problem before.
Do you want to do the elbow fight? I don't want to do the elbow fight.
I've never had this problem. Most people won't date a left-handed person.
Good call.
So it's not going to be that
Most
big of a
people
deal.
won't date a left-handed.
Not
Like, would that
because
be a
they're-
deal breaker?
Okay, that's not what I mean. It's not that being left-handed is a deal breaker. It's just probability. You're not likely to date a lefty.
Yeah.
What qualifies you as left-handed then? Like I throw a baseball left-handed. I play hockey left-handed.
What?
But I write right-handed and I shoot a firearm right-handed.
I would say you're right-handed. Are you left eye or right eye dominant?
I'm left eye dominant.
Oh, you're left eye dominant.
Yes.
So right hand
Interesting.
holding left. That's
You've got
that's
all sorts of
challenging.
Maybe it's because I'm
Idiosyncrasies.
deaf in one ear. Like that effed up my spatial awareness and
I don't
stuff.
know.
But I'm left eye dominant.
strange. I mean, maybe you're slightly ambidextrous.
No. And the thing is, in skating, I'm left foot dominant, but right spin dominant. So it's like a different thing where, for some people, like if you grow up, you can use one foot, but you have to learn to spin both ways. That's what we all did growing up. But if you're from California, you learn to spin one way, but you can use both feet equally as long as you're spinning in that direction. So it's all weird and all over the place.
Our guitar player Mike, he's a actual lefty. Writes left-handed, bats left-handed, plays guitar right-handed though.
That's weird.
It is a little weird, but it's also smart because if you learn to play right-handed, it's much easier when it comes to buying guitars.
Also, if you want to have an interesting discussion with people about the concept of like unfairness and equity, being a left-handed player in baseball, for instance, like you're very limited for the positions you're going to be allowed to play because they've mastered the formula of what works from each position so much. Like I was a catcher growing up. You can't be a catcher in baseball if you're left-handed anymore because the majority of batters are right-handed.
We have a 20 from Dylan Dishner. Mary really just casually attacked the left-handed community.
I back it.
I didn't know it was a community. You guys are a community now? Everything
I don't think
is.
it's actually a community.
I'm sorry. That's not what I meant.
Don't be sorry, coward.
And I also, yes. Okay, let's go ahead and move on then.
Yeah. Anthony Mackie, who starred as Captain America in Brave New World, has some thoughts about masculinity and fatherhood that he shared on a recent podcast appearance. And I would say there are mixed reactions already because he has a stance that is predominantly pro-masculinity. He feels that it's been eclipsed in recent years and purposefully killed and diminished in public life, and it needs to make a comeback. So let's take a look at his thoughts.
Here we go.
I keep my boys humble. Like my boys have never had a pair of Jordans. You know, my boys don't do all that internet fly shit. I'm like your kids. And no, I don't give a I could be the biggest star in the world. Do not let me catch you being stupid. Do not. And my oldest gets it. My 15-year-old, he tells the other ones, he's like, yo, don't make dad mad. Because once you get one that's right, he gonna straighten the other ones out. So it's just that thing of, in the past 20 years, we've been living through the death of the American male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities for one reason or another. But I raised my boys to be young men. And however you feel about that, you feel about that. Right. But my boys will always be respectful. They will always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. They will always say thank you. They will always open the door for a lady. They will always make sure that their mother is taken care and provided for. They will always be men. And that's always since they were 2 years old. Every time I left for a job, I tell my 15-year-old, you're the man of the house. You make sure these doors are locked every night, this alarm is on, you text me or you call me every night before you go to bed and you wake up.
I love that.
Because we're men. If I'm not there to protect, he got to be there to protect. Because you can have all the money in the world, climb through the window, that money means nothing. Right. You can have all the celebrity in the world, you jump through the door, that celebrity means nothing. Yeah. So you got to have a little guard in there, you know? And So for me, it's always that idea of American masculinity is very different.
Hold up.
Okay.
There were some responses that didn't take it so well. One of them said, "A 15-year-old is not the man of the house. This is so ridiculous to put adult pressures on a child. Yeah, give them responsibilities, but don't subject a kid to the traumas of adulthood. Children are children and adults are adults for a reason."
Putting expectations on your kids is not evil or
I think
bad.
it's more ridiculous to expect your child to go to sleep one day as a child and wake up an adult, and
on their
as if
18th
it's like
birthday.
as if it just completely flips in the span of a minute. That
I mean, his wife should have a firearm and be trained in that firearm.
Well, that's true. I also hope he's making enough money that they live in an extremely secure, gated community.
I'm sure they do.
With security and everything like that, that his 15-year-old isn't solely responsible for defending the family home. Another one said, "Raising a little soldier is not my priority."
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Like, they really kind of took this and twisted it any direction they could.
It's all women saying that kind of stuff.
I see.
Or
These are both
spiritually
replies
women.
from men.
They're spiritually
actually.
women, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, everything Anthony Mackie said was right and good.
There was literally nothing wrong with anything he said there.
Nothing.
Not a
Nothing
single
at
thing.
all.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually kind of, but I mean, that's kind of the argument they say right now. You could say the most uncontroversial thing on the internet and somebody will find a way to make it controversial.
Another one said, "Anthony definitely voted for Trump."
I doubt that.
No, he actually is very much outspokenly on the left, but he has strong family values because I assume that's the way he was raised, and he wanted to pass that down as a strength to his kids.
Yes.
And at least didn't let the brain rot all the way to the center. You know?
And the other stuff he's talking about isn't even necessarily to do with masculinity. It was just not expecting things because you come from wealth. That would be a discussion about privilege, actually. That just because your kids will never have to want for food or shelter does not mean that they have to be given everything. And allowed to live a life of excess just because you have the resources to do so. That's a good thing. Raising your kids to understand that you're not always that most people don't have everything they want or have their every whim regarded is good. It allows them a perspective that a lot of people in that world aren't going to have, and actually gives them a leg up in the future should they choose to go into a different profession other than the one that you're in, where they interact with normal people. One thing you'd have to teach them then is that you're going to be, you're not just going to be looked down. And I'm imagining that he's had conversations with kids about race and the perspective of how he feels that they're going to be judged based on their race. But what about being judged based on your income bracket and where you come from? Because look, the sentiment in this country right now hates you for the money you've made every bit as much as you believe they might hate you for what you look like. There is a growing sentiment that people are not taking into account of just how much the have-nots have a burning hatred for the haves. And that's not just billionaires. It's the problem with Bill Burr's comment the other day, because he's an absolute moron talking about Free Luigi, not understanding that he is going to be hated every bit as much by those people, the most extreme of those people, as the billionaires that they criticize.
Right, and Anthony Mackie also shared some more conflicting thoughts on those themes of success and privilege later on in this episode as well.
This one was weird to me.
Yeah.
I feel like, and to be fair, I feel like there was some context lost in this one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've been in the business 24 years, right? And I've seen people go from nothing to the biggest stars in the world. I've seen people go from one role to winning Academy Awards and doing all this shit. And what I realized yesterday thinking about it, we're lying to our kids, dog. And I think that's a big problem in our community. We tell our kids that and this is fresh on my heart, like I literally just came to this conclusion last night. We tell our kids if they do right and they make the good grades and they go to the programs and they will become successful. If you work hard enough, your work will be paid off. And that's not true. Success is given. It's not earned. Because you can be the most brilliant If one person don't tap you, each one of y'all, there were people who could hit harder, who could catch better, who could run faster, but somebody said, you're the one. And the other 50 behind you fell off.
What's the saying? Success is when luck meets preparation.
Yep.
Maybe that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because of that, I don't know what that emotion or that feeling is the scary thing. Because I went to all the programs. I've done Broadway. I've done off-Broadway. I've been in the business 24 years. I've been in 2 Academy Award films. I've done independent films. I've done major motion pictures. Now I'm Captain America. So now what?
Hold up.
So is he saying that being Captain America means he's not successful? What are you talking about?
I don't think he says that.
No, that's not what he means.
What is he saying?
I think that he means...
He did say the ideas are fresh in his mind, so he might not have gelled them out to the extent that he actually thinks about them.
I think that he means that hard work alone is not a guarantee for success.
Yes.
Okay.
Which
so
is true.
That is true. And the thing is what is the counter argument to that? Don't try because you won't get a for sure answer?
No,
that doesn't
that's
make
not what
any
he was
sense.
trying to say.
No, I'm asking what the logical conclusion of the opposite perspective is. Because this is a sentiment that they say now about what happened with kids who were told the lie of go to college and you'll get a great job. Right? They said, go to college, do everything right, you'll be rewarded with a good job. Oh crap, the housing market spiked. There are no jobs in your field that will pay off the loans. All of this stuff happened. I don't remember anyone ever telling me personally. Granted, I didn't go to a 4-year college and I was way more interested in skating and traveling and all of this stuff. But I was never ever told that work hard and you will succeed. The idea was you should work hard because working hard is its own reward and success is an outcome that can happen, but is not ever guaranteed.
This has a lot to do with that culture of resentment that you were just referring to, because a lot of millennials, maybe not you, but a lot of millennials were raised thinking and being taught if you take these prescribed steps in life, everything will work out. Yeah. And then recessions happen and black swan events of all kinds happen and doesn't really pan out that way. And these millennials ended up being very angry at the world for not being what they were told it was. We have a 20 from Viperus69. Brett is probably naturally ambidextrous like me, but you grew up mainly using one hand, causing the other to be dominant in random situations. For me, it's box, southpaw, bat, left-handed, can only play Guitar Hero left-handed, etc.
I can shoot a basketball right-handed, but I can't throw a baseball right-handed, and I would never be able to, like, my left foot in skating is far more dominant than my right foot unless it involves spinning to the left. So I don't believe that I'm ambidextrous in any way. I was always jealous of the kids who had who were naturally ambidextrous in skating.
Most of the replies, I think, are trying to understand his point. He's not saying not to work hard. He's saying that somewhere along the line, somebody with influence and power picks and chooses who gets opportunities.
I mean,
he's arguing against the idea that solely hard work can get you there.
Then I suppose he's right, that it's just framed in a way where it's horrible for a headline.
So in that case, it means the lesson is work hard and have all the right friends
and and
have the right attitude.
We've made this joke before here that, like, look, you can do everything right, you can be the best at something, but if you don't know the right people and you're not personable enough, somebody who is more personable, who might be less talented but easier to work with, is going to get that opportunity. They talk about that.
Vivek.
They talk about this in Hollywood.
Hey, Vivek Ramaswamy, did you hear that?
They talk in Hollywood about how actors will be hired. They might not be the greatest actor in the world, but the director knows that they're easy to work with. They're easy to direct. Maybe they won't get the most evocative performance ever out of them, but if a director wants something specific, they know the guy's going to make his call time. He's not going to be late. He's gonna work hard and he's gonna be humble, and that goes for a lot. Maybe the problem is that too many people believe they are the brilliant artist or the brilliant person worthy of exception, but not everybody is Daniel Day-Lewis.
As for what he said about masculinity, though, and the fact that it's been devalued so much in society, I I think there's nothing objectionable about what he said. Honestly, I am surprised that he said it in this current climate. I'm surprised that he hasn't received even more backlash for saying it. I feel like that's just a sign that the times are changing, that's safe to say something like that as a public Hollywood celebrity who was just in a huge Marvel movie. Like, that wouldn't have been acceptable 5 years ago to be talking like that. Yep. So on that note, I actually do want to just jump right into the next topic, as it also relates to masculinity. Pedro Pascal and Oscar Isaac are being praised for displaying a non-toxically masculine friendship. They are friends. Perhaps, according to some, they're a little bit more than friendly. In all of their pictures together, they appear to be very physically intimate. Maybe to a point where a lot of straight men find it weird and they don't feel like this is normal for straight male friends to do this. So in a recent photo that was shared by Pedro Pascal on Instagram, they are cuddling. This was posted, or the photo was actually taken by Oscar Isaac's wife. And here you can see that in this photo, they are embracing each other very closely.
I mean, he looks like he's actually comforting him after he said like something went wrong.
They are sharing an intimate cuddle in front of a scenic backdrop. Oscar Isaac is cradling Pedro Pascal and smiling while resting his head on Pedro's. His hand is also visible on Pedro's shoulder, who has channeled his inner Ariana Grande by reaching up to clasp onto Oscar Isaac's thumb. It's giving Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo on the Wicked press tour vibes.
I'm thinking that he just got done filming his final scene in The Last of Us.
He's just feeling a little bit emotionally ragged.
The golf club is right next to him, and then he's sharing an emotional moment.
We have a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. I worked for an affluent black TV station general manager who had 3 kids that he would take to a church every Thanksgiving. All day, they would serve dinner to the less fortunate. Just one example of his great parenting.
Great parenting goes a long way.
Those are good values to instill. Now, a lot of people were discussing this photo after it was circulating online and saying that this is a great thing, that they can be so close with each other, even though they're both heterosexual and married to women. One person said, oh, thank you.
One person said, put a girl on.
No, they were not putting a girl on. They were not at all.
Pedro's like, not on my watch.
No, there were no girls allowed in that situation.
Maybe they have a treehouse.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
One person wrote, as a happily married straight man, this is the kind of friendship I would kill to have. Deep friendships filled with love are just deep friendships filled with love. Those friends are lucky to have each other. Another one said, more celebrity men known for playing tough guys, badass, strong men characters displaying ultra non-toxic masculinity, please. Another one said, I'm so over toxic masculinity. These two give me hope for the future.
But this isn't like, why is this even in the same discussion? It's not masculinity at all.
I guess just them being men and doing anything, you can call it a form of masculinity, even if what they're doing is objectively effeminate.
What if they did it like at a gun range? Then is that like both toxically masculine and not toxically masculine at the same time?
Tell me this as if there isn't an audience watching us right now. What is the actually like physically closest you've gotten as a straight man with your male friend?
So look, if they were doing this as a gag to get a reaction, fair enough.
Okay.
Right? Like if they were like, this will be funny, people will say stuff, it'll make all kinds of people get worked up, and we will do the thing that we're doing here, which is talking about it, blah blah blah. If it was a gag, fine. I'm on board. I totally back it. It's funny that way. We'll never know. I hope that they're laughing about it.
Oddly enough.
But I don't know. But if they're doing this just because they want to feel each other's like love and support and comfort, it's like, that's weird.
Is this cultural? Somebody said that in the comments. They said, is this cultural?
Because they're Latinos.
Yes. That's what somebody said in the comments.
I feel like Latin men are like with the
More
whole machismo
machismo.
thing.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said. I was like, what?
I don't know if we have Latino men in the chat. Let us know if this is normal for you.
Maybe it's just cultural in Hollywood.
But no, really answer the question though.
Not this.
Not this.
Not this.
Just like
This is the meme.
So you mean the line is like? Would you say the line for straight male friends is quick hug?
Sure.
I've even seen. I don't really actually see men hug with their arms now. They always do the dude hug.
There's the handshake.
The handshake that turns into
That's
a hug.
this.
That's
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
There are like it's cool.
Side.
So like I actually am like if I'm like talking to like someone that I'm really close friends with, I'm a hugger. Like and if there's a dude, I will full on hug. But that's not holding. That's not holding the hands and
It's
stuff
not
like
caressing.
that. No. It's definite. It's clearly platonic hug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
So nothing like this.
Like this
No.
is the out. Like I'm just not the tactile, wanting to be touched person. So
I am inclined to believe that this was not a joke that they were playing on all of us because they have a history of doing this together. In fact, in a Instagram post from years and years ago, they are seen together in this selfie. Oscar Isaac is nibbling his ear, nibbling Pedro Pascal's ear, and Pedro Pascal captioned the photo, "Oscar takes a bite." This is still up, by the way. And one commenter said, "It's hard to find friends who are affectionate like that. With same-sex friends, what's wrong with society where you can't show raw emotions with your friends without being criticized as needy and being too much to handle? Both men went through a lot of ups and downs trying to make it in their industry. I'm happy that they're both there for one another. That's what true friendship looks like."
this is its own meme territory on Instagram of like homoerotic the boys.
Yeah, it's like, hey, fellas, is it gay to cuddle with your bros?
Yeah,
is it gay to kiss your bros?
Like
Yeah,
they're just
it
taking
is.
that meme and turning it into real life.
Why is that meme so prevalent? Like I see it all the time, like men making these kind of gay
Dunno.
jokes.
The
It was different. Like I feel like 10, 20 years ago, the joke was that you're calling your bro gay.
Yeah.
To demean him jokingly, and now the joke is like some kind of weird thing where you're calling yourself gay,
Yeah.
and that's the joke. So what shifted there? I remember like I had male friends in college before I dropped out who did that. They would like cuddle with each other, and I was like, that's so weird. Are you kidding? And they just thought it was the most normal thing in the world. They also found it funny.
it wasn't. It
Yeah.
wasn't.
It's like these Gen Z men are like different.
The
They're just
different.
the other
different in a bad way.
the other question here is they're using this as a way of bringing up the topic of toxic masculinity as if this is somehow a response or an answer to that without actually telling you what toxic masculinity is to them, which I'm guessing anybody who looks at this as the answer to that thinks that just about any masculine behavior is toxic.
Right. But what is sanctioned anymore for men?
I mean, that's
what are you left with?
like
Is there even a definition of masculinity anymore if you can just mold it into whatever you want?
I mean, I think there's a huge gap here also in real world application versus the internet, meaning that I've told you and we've told the story before of that one horrendous experience I had on a college campus of like a woman telling me to not hold a door open for her. Look, that is for me, at least in my experience, the outlier. It's not the way I've seen things in the real world. I've held open hundreds of doors for people and never once ever heard something like that, but you always remember the insane experience, right? So how is masculinity criticized in the real world as opposed to the theoretical on the internet? Like if a woman's car is broken down and you pull over to help her change a tire, I would be interested to know if there's any experiences from women who are like, no, don't help me.
I would like to say I was wrong earlier.
About
Pedro Pascal is not openly straight, but he's not openly gay. either. So he might be gay. A lot of people think that he's gay and just doesn't talk about it.
I mean, I'm more offended by the calling him a... Like, the other thing in the article that they referenced was about not being typecast in roles. And they were like, how many scripts can they send me about playing a Latin gangster? I'm like, I've never seen Pedro Pascal play a gang member. I've only ever seen him play...
This is the same stuff that you hear from like John Leguizamo.
I've only
every
ever
5
seen
minutes.
Pedro Pascal play FBI agents and...
Who needs to tell Pedro Pascal that he looks white?
Yeah.
Like, has anyone ever told him that? He does not look like Pedro, okay? Yeah. He just doesn't. I'm sorry. You look like a guy named Joe Smith. And as for Oscar Isaac, I didn't even know that he was Latino,
Pedro.
so it just doesn't... You're not Pedro. You're not giving Pedro. I just sent you a video of Oscar Isaac that I wanted to show, where he's referring to Pedro Pascal as his significant other? Question mark? I guess this is a running thing for them.
My sweet girlfriend Pedro, my girl. We're two sisters, space sisters. We're two space sisters in a space pod. That's my baby. I'm sorry,
Pedro. Really?
Pedro's.
I take Pedro.
It's my Pedro. It's my Pedro.
Oscar Isaac is.
I'd have to say
he's apologizing to his wife because he's in a relationship with Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of that, but it's giving Brokeback Mountain. It just is. Also, Pedro Pascal was in a very similar gay Western alongside Ethan Hawke just last year. So he swings a certain way. I'm willing to say that.
I just, when I see people talking about this, it's Hollywood. It's Hollywood and urban blue city men.
It's sort of like, okay, I've heard Candace Owens talk about the way that Taylor Swift walks around with her girl squad. And she says, I'm the same age as Taylor Swift. I definitely don't hold my friends' hands.
I mean, we've talked about that.
And skip around like little girls. That's not age appropriate, and it's definitely a photo op.
Well, when we brought this up before, I mentioned that it seemed like a photo op. You said maybe it's because of all the press and not wanting to get...
Yeah, that's what I would say if it were like a couple of times that she does this.
Or she brings up, like, we had a slumber party. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you're in your 30s.
She's talking about being a 35-year-old woman who does slumber parties with other women her age. They're a bunch of weirdos.
Normal women don't have slumber parties because they have to go to work the next day.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, let's finish up the Super Chats. I have no conclusion to all of this. Do you have something monumental to add? I don't even know what to add.
I have something monumental to add. They're gay.
Okay.
We're finishing the Super Chats now. Weary Traveler sent us an apple emoji and something else. I don't know. I think it's because Phil's here. Brian Bledsoe said, I use Fandango and refunds can be Fandango credit or back to my card, plus all of the different theater chains and my membership reward are connected. That was the one that bought Rotten Tomatoes out.
Yes.
So now you can't rely on them anymore. Kenneth Hart said, I read in People fans booed Tool at a festival for repeating the set in Sans Fest. These are not fans. Everyone knows MJK will mess with you for lols.
Maynard James Keenan.
Apparently
MJK.
everyone doesn't know that because I'm part of everyone and I didn't know that.
Fair.
Weary Traveler said when Donald Trump tweeted he's never seen a skinny person drink Diet Coke, he was thinking of Rosie. I think he was thinking of himself because Trump loves Diet Coke and he's not skinny. He's definitely overweight. Shane H. Wilder said Rosie is a lesbian, kids are adopted. When she came out, she said, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, bike. It would have been better if she just left and did an Irish goodbye. That would be more appropriate, wouldn't it? If she really understood her ancestral culture, she wouldn't need to announce her exit to anyone. James
Irish goodbyes are
Coteridis.
the best, by the way.
I mean, I think you should say goodbye to the person who invited you and you're not, obligated to anyone else.
Fair enough.
The host or the person who invited you. James Coteridis said, Phil, any good memories from sharing the stage with Blood Has Been Shed and the Red Chord? Also, what's the chance All That Remains will get Howard as an opener?
I mean, I don't know what Howard which band Howard is on cycle with. I don't know what band he's releasing music with right now. I know he's got a couple things that he's doing. He's a busy guy, always got irons in the fire and stuff. I don't know that I have any particular memories about All That Remains with Blood Has Been Shed. I mean, I've seen Blood Has Been Shed more times than I can count because they're from Connecticut, and All That Remains and Blood Has Been Shed was kind of coming up around the same time. I would go to shows, and Blood Has Been Shed was playing like all the time. So I don't have anything in particular, but I just remember like how incredibly heavy they were and how crazy their pits always were, and generally was kind of trying to stay out of the way. So yeah, that's about all I got for Blood Has Been Shed. Great band, great guys too.
Not That John Stewart said, I saw Kiss in 2000 in Pittsburgh. It was my first concert. They were opened by Skid Row and Ted Nugent? Great show. That must have been one of their first end of the road tours. Then.
Yes.
Dingus Khan said, Phil, since you're from the best generation, you grew up with some awesome music. Were there any bands you never got to see before they actually retired?
So, sort of. There's this band called Carcass that I'm still a huge fan of. I don't know if they're still playing shows. They might be. But I haven't seen them, and that's like one of the only bands that was like a really big influence on me that I haven't seen. So if they're still playing shows, I'd like to. I know they broke up for a long time and kind of got away from from being active, but I know they also kind of got back together and started doing stuff again. So I'm not sure if they're an active band currently, but I still would love to see them.
Arsenal Man said, my favorite guitar, I'm not going to know how to say this, Gibson EB0. That's literally what it says. 1961 model.
He might be talking about
Do you know what he's
EB0?
It says EB-0.
Not exactly.
I don't know
sure
what that means. I don't know anything about guitars. Shane H. Wilder said Ace Frehley opened for Alice Cooper in 2022 and got booed off stage for saying...
it's a bass.
Oh, okay. So then, like, not...
Yeah, it's an SG style bass. So
we already know you're bigoted against bass players.
absolutely.
Got booed off stage for saying everyone should get the jab. Alice saved it by putting on a great show. Since then, didn't Alice Cooper actually, like, endorse Trump?
I don't know.
Or something like that.
I mean, I know he's religious, but I don't know.
Oh, I think that was Shane H. Wilder. Yeah. Arsenal Man said, dad toys ain't cheap.
Yeah.
Men be shopping, like, a lot. I didn't know about this. Pop culture
What do you
junkie.
think they put in their man caves? They got to put something in there.
I reject the concept.
I know.
The concept of a man cave. Pop Culture Junkie said, met Simmons when he was promoting Michael
Crichton's
Runaway in 1984. He gave such a bad interview. I never used it on air. Crichton was great, by the way.
That's awesome.
One of the parts of that $12,000 experience was having a meal with Gene Simmons, either like in his hotel or backstage.
Does he have the makeup on when he eats? That's the real question.
I wonder.
I would assume that he would not.
But that just, to me, like, I don't want to pay for that. That sounds so awkward.
Yes, it does.
Right? It's the most expensive first date
it's like
ever.
when you enter like a contest to win the chance to spend a day with some celebrity. I'm like, that sounds horrible.
That sounds
like
awful.
Even like if it was like you get to spend a day with Ken Griffey Jr., who I idolized growing up. If it was like you get to go hit baseballs with Ken Griffey Jr., that would be pretty cool. But like the whole day,
just hanging out
the whole day.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like
I don't want any of that business. Shane H. Wilder said, "Don't forget, Kiss also put their blood into the ink of a Kiss comic book and made a horrible movie called Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park."
They did that as well.
Did you see it?
Oh yeah.
You can say firsthand that it's horrible.
It was terrible.
Corn Pop said, "I'm shopping. Hello, Mary."
What are you shopping for?
Christina Lee said, Mirror, Mirror with Lily Collins is the best Snow White movie ever. If you like fashion, it's worth watching just for the costumes alone.
There you go, Mary. That's a good suggestion for you.
I never heard of that. I'll look into that. Kenny Ramey said, remember the episode of Home Improvement when Tim and Jill ended up talking for the entire night to try to understand what issues they were going through at that point in their lives?
No.
I never watched Home Improvement, so no.
Watched it growing up, but not any time recently.
Gordon Shumway said, people need to make Mean Girls memes of stop trying to make fetch happen, only these say stop trying to make Meghan Markle happen. They really are trying, aren't they? They just won't stop.
Yep.
Shane H. Wilder said, Meghan and Michelle podcasts, gay and lame, mostly gay.
I bet you they should have their own show together.
Yeah, that would actually be more successful than either of them alone.
Yeah.
I would watch it.
What would it be called?
M&M's.
Yeah.
Uncoded. I don't know. James Coteritis said, Mary, good showing with Michael Knowles. Stay emo. I will. Thank you. Stefan Buttle said Michelle's brother looks like... I don't know if am I allowed to say that on YouTube?
I don't
he looks
know.
he looks like a butch lesbian. That's what they said.
I thought it said Dutch.
No.
I was like, is there some type of defining factor that makes one look like a Dutch?
I didn't really think that, but you're entitled to your opinion. Omega Red Fan said, Relinquish by All That Remains is one of the best songs, sir.
Thank you very much.
Just the best songs like ever. Joe T
appreciate that.
said, people refer to 1984 and Brave New World when talking about dystopian futures, but nobody refers to THX 1138. What?
Yep.
Pre-Star Wars Lucas?
Yep.
Thoughts?
Do you have thoughts on that film?
I've never seen it, but
What
I'm
is
aware
this?
of it.
Aware of it, never seen it.
Is this a movie?
Yeah.
He made it like... Is it
Before
part of
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars, or
Nope.
is it
No.
totally
Not
separate?
unrelated. Before he made Star Wars, he made THX 11 or whatever it is.
That's a terrible name for a movie,
Yeah.
actually.
You say so.
Pat the Plumber said, I don't know why any conservative would give New Scum the time of day. Epic fail by Kirk and Bannon.
No, the thing is that conservatives love to debate and talk about
They can't
stuff.
get enough
They
of
can't get
it.
enough of that shit.
They're obsessed.
And it's beneficial for their brand to do it.
But they have
so-
to realize that they're benefiting New Scum by doing that. They need to keep that in mind. It's not just them who's benefiting from it. Cesario JPN said, wait, I thought we already had two black brothers on a podcast already, the Hodge twins.
Saw they had Lily, what's her name on?
Lily
How
White?
original.
Lily,
They had Lily Phillips on?
yes.
What did they talk about?
I have no idea.
What do you think?
I mean, maybe
Tax policy.
the latest book she's been reading. I don't know.
1,000 people.
What is at that point? There's like nothing to talk
Wait,
about.
was she
There's
the
nothing to
1,000
talk
people or was
about.
Bonnie Blue the 1,000 people? I thought Bonnie Blue was 1,000 people.
Both
Bonnie
of them.
Blue was 1,000. Lily Phillips was 100.
Man, imagine getting owned that hard in your
Um,
perspective, in your respective journey towards degeneracy.
But it's like, what are you going to talk about? Every time I see a clip of them talking about it, they're like, yeah, it was crazy, haha.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing to reveal. If everything has already been out there, like we've seen it all, we've
There's
heard it all.
literally
There's
nothing to
nothing
reveal.
that you cannot expose anything else.
When the Hodge twins came for IRL, they gave everybody, they gave a bunch of merch out, and I got the last white privilege card.
Oh, I got one of those too.
and I gave it to my brother as a gift.
I'm sure you will. Yeah. There was a white privilege cologne over there. Did you see that? You should take that. You should use that.
I gave my brother the white privilege card. He loved it.
Not that John Stewart said, me be left-handed, marry, die alone and unloved. Yeah, that's totally what I said. Fine. Moonlight said, your guitar player Mike?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Hunt?
Oh, God.
That was the super
Get
chat.
it, guys?
You paid for that.
Wow. Thank you for the $2. Bombchus said, I am 6'5" and left-handed. Everything is too small and backwards. Can I get a month too?
You deserve one.
That must be difficult. I'm sorry. Brian Bledsoe said, I guess I'll sit across because I'm trying to close a deal, if you know what I mean. I'll see myself out. Yeah, it's all business.
In the negotiating phase of this transaction.
All business on the coffee date. The Crafty Raccoon said, I prefer sitting across from my fiance. I enjoy eye contact when conversing. We both have more room to eat comfortably. Also, playing footsie is more fun. I just think you're wrong. I don't think that you need to be making constant eye contact, but it's not impossible to make eye contact if you're sitting next to each other anyway.
It's
so
true.
The way you were talking about it, you were saying like you have to turn your entire body to turn your head. Does your neck work?
No.
Like your neck doesn't turn? Is that a problem for you?
I just don't want to do it.
You need a chiropractor.
I don't want to do it. I thought chiropractors were a scam. Somebody told me chiropractors are a scam.
I don't know. I haven't seen the crunchy verdict on that.
Yeah.
I've heard similar stories.
Shane H. Wilder said, everything Anthony Mackie said is true. I was raised that way, and if I'm blessed enough to get married and have kids, the boys will be raised the same. I liked that he was also talking about teaching them chivalry in a time when that's not a fashionable thing to talk about.
Yep. Wonder if he has daughters too, or if he only has boys.
He didn't refer to them if he does.
Yeah.
Weary Traveler said, success isn't earned, it's given. Oy vey, shut it down.
Shut it down!
I don't get it.
The problem is that phrase taken out of context leans very heavily into how people feel about a lot of stuff these days, which is that the system is rigged against you and there's no point in trying, therefore revolution.
Good. There's the silver lining about that is there are very few people that are motivated enough to actually engage in an organized revolution.
The actual ones who want the revolution are actually just too lazy to have the revolution, which is beneficial for everybody.
Because if they weren't so lazy, they would be doing things that are productive and they wouldn't want the revolution. Because to be honest with you, like no matter what people say or think about like modern to Western society, it's never been easier to survive than it is now in Western society, like in the U.S. Like, 100 years ago, typhus would off you. You get the wrong kind of cut.
I mean, you see those
too
posts,
deep and you die of blood infections.
The ones the other day that are like, you have to work 40 hours a week, 9 to 5 every day. It's like 8 to 6 with traffic. We weren't meant to live like this. It's like, actually, before the Industrial Revolution, you were exactly meant to live like this and worse. Mm-hmm. Like, you live in the most coddled time.
You worked like history. That or for the entire growing season and prayed that you had enough to get you through the winter because you were just basically huddled together with your family indoors trying not to freeze to death.
Yeah. And there's an argument to be made that the generation before them knew what it was to own, and a lot of this generation, like nothing there. Like, you're not allowed to even own your Adobe Premiere anymore. You have to freaking rent it. Mm-hmm. Like,
that's some bullshit.
You don't get to own your, like, if you want to own your movies, you you can own all the movies you want, but here's the cheaper option, but you got to pay monthly. Like, there's an argument to be made that there's such a stark difference in the idea of ownership between the boomers and Gen X and then millennials and onward that this type of divide and fighting was always inevitable. Yeah. And I do think that the right sometimes underestimates how the have-not, how widespread the feeling of the have-nots is, though that could be wrong given the results of the last election.
Shane H. Wilder said, 2 dudes can bro hug or slap each other on the back. A regular hug is reserved for close homies at weddings and funeral. Anything else is gay. This is the verdict, guys. Do you agree with this?
Whatever. I'm like, I mean, it's just like arguing over what 2 other dudes do. That's probably just as gay as the hug.
Yeah.
And when you do the hug, you get 2 pats on the back. Anything more is lingering, and it's pretty sussy.
Mm-hmm. Red Snow
3
said,
pats is sussy.
Red Snow said, built different, whinier, faker, gayer, lamer. Junie said Pedro played the Red Viper, a bisexual in Game of Thrones. I didn't know that his character
Mary,
was
is it your opinion
gay.
that if you will play a gay person and kiss a man in a movie for a role, does that make you actually gay?
Yes.
Okay.
Gay for pay is still gay.
Okay.
High Voltage 75 said, Brett, did you hire All That Remains to play at your wedding?
I don't think I couldn't afford them. The wedding industry, ladies and gentlemen, is an absolute racket. The whole process is crazy.
There should be a documentary about the wedding industry. I would love to see that.
They should make a movie called The Wedding Planner. Maybe Jennifer Lopez could be in it.
Nice.
Nice
but idea.
The
no one's thought of this.
The great thing is though is that given that Olivia knows exactly what she wants, and we're going through this whole thing, and she's like, what do you think of this? And I say yes. I love that. And
What
I
do you
do
think of this? And I say yes.
and I love that. So
James Pauly said, you might reject the man cave, but I am in mine right now watching you and working on a mini bike.
You're in your home. Who pays for that home?
Yeah, I reject the concept for basically that reason. Moonlight said, Mary, why don't we have hobbies, but all these guys have a million hobbies? Are we just boring? I have hobbies that aren't related to like combat or killing things or fighting. Or
That's a
any of
yes.
those
That
male
means yes.
things.
She's saying yes. We're just boring.
I mean, like, I hate sitting around. Like, I get really uncomfortable. Maybe it's part of the sobriety that, like, I spent so much time sitting around when I was using that it's like a weird type of reaction that I have where I can't sit, because I'm high energy most of the time anyways. I'm naturally that way. So my leg starts to tap.
Women are not boring. We're just different.
Yeah,
and what we think about is relationships with people. If we have a hobby, it's usually gonna converge around conversations. We just want to talk. We want conversations. Any of our hobbies are just about those things. We just want to talk to people.
I mean, men get that through their hobbies too, depending on what they're doing, right?
They also bond in silence.
Yeah. We go skating, and skating for us, like if you go street skating, you're not at a skate park. You're going to a street skating spot. You're going to a ledge. You're going to a rail, and you skate and you converse in between attempts, and that's part of the bonding experience. One of the inside jokes in our sport is like loiterer in chief. Like you spend half your life loitering at businesses you're not supposed to be at. So.
We have a 20 from the Manic Mustache. Late as usual, but apropos to boys being boys, it's only gay if you forget to say no como. And as a former collegiate wrestler and Latin POMC, Peter Pascal is as Latin as a Taco Bell Mexican pizza. Stay toxic, my friends. I mean, I think that Taco Bell is authentic. Fight me on that. Surinko Productions said, add Perro and Oscar to Mary's list of gay actors. It's getting longer by the day. Pop Culture Junkie said, are there podcast versions of an industry plant? Yes, Bobby Althoff. Number one.
Yeah. Gone. Nobody's heard from her since.
Who else?
Bobby Althoff would have been the one I would have suggested.
Yeah.
I can't think of another. But I mean, you go on these. I
mean, Hawk Tua.
Yes.
Also. That's, yeah.
But at least there was like an inciting incident that at least made it semi make sense.
Who else? Oh, that guy. He's so boring.
Lex
I can't
Friedman.
remember. Yes. Yeah. I was literally about to say he's so boring. I can't remember his name. Lex Friedman. Industry plant. No Control said 2 people sitting on the same side of an otherwise empty booth is weird.
Don't care.
It's not weird. You're weird. Shane H. Wilder said Alice is a Republican, very traditional IRL, and voted Trump. He just plays a villain on stage. Yeah, I thought I heard that from somewhere. Not That Jon Stewart said THX1138 is the name of the main character. People live in square box pods. No one has names. It's a dystopian future movie. I recommend. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I just don't think you should name your movie that, because nobody's going to be able to remember it or recommend it without sounding like an idiot.
I was like browsing Amazon Prime last night before bed and realized if you guys were looking to watch a Gene Hackman movie after we talked about Gene Hackman last night, they did put Enemy of the State on Amazon Prime. But also, for at least the next 24 hours, Surf Ninjas, the absolute masterpiece starring Ernie Reyes, is up there for it's like I was like gonna watch it right before bed, and it's like it's going away in the next 45 hours. They shouldn't do that. They shouldn't warn you when something's about to be taken off the platform. I hate that. But go watch Surf Ninjas. It was a masterpiece. Is that everything?
Yeah, I think we're
That
all
is all
caught
of them.
up.
All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Again, please and thank you. The best way that you can help this show grow is to subscribe and to share the videos out with everyone. It helps us grow organically, so thank you guys so much for that. And Phil, thank you.
I am Phil It Remains on Twix. I'm Phil It Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. You can check out our newest release. It's called Anti-Fragile. You can check it out on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, and Deezer. And don't forget the Left Lanes for Crime.
Perfect.
I was about to remind you of Deezer. You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. I am also going to be on Timcast IRL tonight, so catch me over there.
Perfect. Guys, if you want to follow me, Instagram and Twix, at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would like to listen rather than watch. You can rate and review on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. That is another great way that you can help the channel grow. And if you want to follow the channel on social media, we are on Twix, at PopCulture_show, Facebook, at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram, at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. A couple more there.
Was it Shane H. Wilder? Brett, watch the latest Reacher. It's good.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, the episodes come out on Thursday, so I'm not home from work yet. I am going to watch it tonight. I did read an article today that said the season 3 premiere ratings were better, like at least slightly better than season 2. So it seems that Alan Rickman's TDS has not hurt the show any, though a bad season could. But I've enjoyed it so far. I think there's one more up there.
Actually, we have a few. High Voltage 75 said, Phil on episode 800 next Wednesday. Let's go.
Yeah, Phil, you want to show up for episode 800?
I don't think that I will be able to.
Darn.
That's
Sorry.
so rude.
It's
You
gonna
could always
be,
not have a show on Monday.
That's-
So that way 800 is Thursday.
Twist my arm.
Wow.
Okay.
Not that John Stewart said, remember the gongo. We're
Remember the
remembering the
gongo.
gongo always. Pop Culture Junkie said, Enemy of the State, an all-time favorite.
Great movie.
And then you said it twice. Is that
Yep.
why?
And then another one from Greg Duvier says Surf Ninjas was a ripoff of Three Ninjas. I mean, this is just kids' movies about ninjas. It also has Ernie Reyes Jr., who was also Keno in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, where the Foot Clan inspired the Hand in Marvel. So everything's a ripoff of something else. Three Ninjas is the better movie, and a fun fact, the guy who plays the great villain in that movie, like, never acted again after that. He just had an all-time bad guy role, and it's like, peace, I'm out. So, with all of that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. Oh, actually, you know what? We are right by are we going to hit the 6th Crisis Party, Mary?
Let me check.
Yeah, like, are we at the 6th Crisis
I don't
Party?
know.
I was about to sign off and
No,
like, the perfect...
we're $2 away.
Damn.
Bruh.
That sucks. Oh, there's Shane H. Wilder with the 6th Crisis Party.
No,
Thank you.
Maybe not. It's $1.99. I don't know. I don't know if that's to the penny.
That's funny.
No, we were like, what I meant by that is we were less than $2 away, but it's just rounded up.
Okay. All right. Well, I would be happy.
Let's do a post-credit scene.
Yeah, we will do a post-credit sign-off for that. Well, actually, I know I have to wait for it to actually clear first before I know that it actually reached it.
It's in.
But there we go. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. Stay tuned for a post-credit crisis party. Later, guys. Sorry about that, guys.
It's on Phil now.
That's okay.
Now it's on you.
There it is.
Oh.
Post-credit. There we go. We'll be back tomorrow, guys. Later, everyone.